Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of One More Run! Exclamation mark. The podcast all about roguelikes, roguelites, and run-based games. This time we're looking at Omelet You Cook. I am one of your hosts, Joe Baxter-Webb from Indie Game Clinic.
I'm Tom. I'm trying to be an indie game dev. Recently started a studio with a buddy of mine.
I'm Shen. I draw cartoons and I make little hobby games on itch.
I'm Dan. I'm the creator of Death Bulge, which was a webcomic, and then I made an RPG.
Dan, we had a little process last time where people pitched you a game and you got to pick one of three, because that's what we do in roguelikes, because people just love having three options and picking one thing. Why did you pick this one thing, Dan?
It just looked very silly, and silly is all I know as an artist, so it resonated with me, the bright colors and silly things, so I had to pick it.
Cheese, did you want to tell us what actually happens in this game, what things look like, what the player is doing, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. So to sum it up, Omelet You Cook is a score-based roguelite deck builder. That's how I at least think about it. What you're doing is you're serving up omelets to hungry students at a school, but rather than a deck of cards, you're having a pantry of ingredients that you're using to put on your omelets. And it's score-based, maybe like Balatro.
I think there should be a counter on the video for this that just counts how many times people say Balatro.
But you have rounds where you have a target score you need to beat. And in front of you, you have just a folded omelet. So like an artist painting a canvas, you have this empty space that you're going to fill with your ingredients. You get dispensed a random set of ingredients that come down a conveyor belt. You've got this rapidly moving belt, and there's things like tomatoes and broccoli and tin cans and a big fish. And you'll need to pick which one you want and click it with your mouse, drag it up, and place it on your omelet. So the real charm in this game is that there's a tiny physics system built in on top of your omelet where the ingredients are pushing on each other and crowding for space. Most of the time when you place an ingredient, it's malleable. You can keep moving it around. As you get all the ingredients shoved on an omelet and around, you start running out of room. And ultimately, you're just trying to fit them just right to get that target score. It's not about just fitting things on an omelet, though. It is a points-based game. So ingredients have different attributes where they'll score a certain amount of points. But really, it's how they touch each other, how their attributes overlap in various ways is what adds up combinations. For example, like a bell pepper might get 3 extra points for every meat that's touching it. So your strategy would be to take a bell pepper and put a bunch of bacons around it to get those points to add up. But other ingredients like a piece of broccoli loses points for every piece of meat it touches. And veggie and meat are just 2 of these small attributes on ingredients. It expands to what's crunchy and wiggly and burnt and wrapped in wrapping paper. There's a lot of chaos in these overlaps. The game grows in chaos in your mind. You're thinking about the synergies between all these elements and getting that omelet just right for someone. That's the essence of the game, I would say. But after you beat a round, you go on to your typical run-based game shop where you use the money you've earned to buy more ingredients. Maybe you're going to clean out your deck to make it more focused. They have a concept of helpers, which is like a relic or a joker in a lot of games that it's more of a passive buff that can modify everything. They've got some interesting things they do, like they just give you more points overall. Some of them might make your omelet much bigger, so there's more things to work with, or they might just make everything moldy. There's a bunch of interesting customers that you have to serve that might modify every round, where your omelet might be spinning on a DJ disc, or it might be extra tiny. The conveyor belt might move fast, but lots of variety round to round as you play through. And ultimately, you're trying to get through a certain number of rounds to win. So again, in Balatro, these might be antes you're getting through, but if you beat a certain number of rounds, you win the run. Principal Clucker, the big boss chicken, will come in and he'll rate how good your omelets were. He might give you some meta progression. You've used a lot of bacon, so he's going to give you a sausage or something as a new ingredient to have in your pantry. You earn more stuff for your meta progression. You might unlock some new difficulties, and then you can go back into the next run with more tools to work with and a higher difficulty to run through. So I'd just sum it up as it's a chaos game. You start small, you get a bunch of overlaps, and you're making crazy high scores with a moldy, tin-covered, squid-filled omelet that gets 500 points, and it's on fire. So, yeah, that's how I'd best describe it.
I think the first time the Principal Clucker shows up at the end of a run, just destroys the entire table, just takes up the whole screen. That scared the crap out of me the first time it happened. Wasn't ready for it at all. Like, he's just taking up the whole screen. He's like talking in this like blah, 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 blah kind of voice, talking about how crunchy your omelet is. It's like,
Yeah, I forgot to mention, it's a very pixel art, kind of crude art style, but it's very colorful.
I would say MS Paint in brackets complimentary, because I think if you say something reminds you of MS Paint, I think it's like, how dare you?
Yeah, it's good. It's good MS Paint. And one thing I'd like to emphasize just up the top, because Cheese was talking about how chaotic it is it does kind of ramp up to that, because when you first start playing, or even later on, you can play it in this kind of more relaxed mode where the conveyor belt doesn't move and you just get to think of which ingredient to pick up and where to put it, and all of the real-time stuff like the spinning DJ omelets and everything like that is just not happening. So there is a way to play it, either just because you're starting out and you're learning the game, or later on if you want to play it in a more relaxed way. Interesting to see like a game that has this Balatro style scoring where it's all about stacking points and multipliers, but you're doing it in real time, so you can't really think very well about it as you're doing it, which is, it kind of just makes it funnier.
I like turn-based games, and I think as soon as I realized that there was a choice between turn-based and real-time, I went straight to turn-based, and I haven't changed it since. That conveyor belt hasn't moved at all, except for when I think it forced me to for a weekly
That's
run.
Your secret.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's probably why I got more achievements than everyone, is because I'm playing on baby easy turn-based mode, where I can think as long as I want.
I guess the other thing I want to highlight is it's like very different than a lot of other cooking games. Certainly the turn-based mode will slow it down, but this is not necessarily an aesthetic game. You're not making omelets for a specific request. You're in the points. Like, you're trying to maximize the point value here. Yeah, it's definitely a math game.
I mean, it is, but I felt like the math worked for me in a way that made me feel like I was cooking in a way that I've never felt in any other cooking game. And obviously you get cooking games that aren't really about the food. It's like Overcooked and Diner Dash. It's much more about like spatially running around the kitchen and serving things. And then you get ones where you are interacting with the food, and you don't usually feel very creative in those.
Right.
The weird thing that this game does is like, sometimes I'm in points mode and I just care about winning, but there are times when I'm just like trying to make the thing aesthetically pleasing, even if it's not helping me win, because I can't help myself. So kind of easy to see it as a pure points game, but I just felt like the theme of food kind of drew me in a particular direction that the scoring system is kind of like, sometimes it's kind of fighting with it and sometimes it complements it really well.
Yeah, I think a lot of cooking games are pretty focused on like the line cook aspect or the process. Like, am I doing things in the most efficient order?
Yeah.
And there's no efficient order here. It's like, just put stuff on the omelet, and it is all down to the positioning and the creativity and the points and everything. So it's focused on the food, which I think is pretty awesome.
I think there was a bit that screwed me up because I think when you get like the multipliers, there was like a -1x. And I think I read that as, it timeses it by -1x. So rather than takes away like a whole multiplier. So there was, I think I had something that like, it was in minus points. And then something else that had a -1 multiplier. So I was thinking, two minuses multiplied together, you get a positive. So I put a big rubbish bin on the pizza, thinking, that -10 is going to turn into a 10 because of the -1 multiplier. No, in this game, I haven't played Balatro, but I played maths, so that's all I know.
You got screwed by BODMAS.
Yeah, like if only I forgot everything in school and just played Balatro. I assume Balatro is what this is inspired by, or like has a similar system.
It all comes from Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which invented score multipliers. They didn't exist before that. And then Balatro is basically just Tony Hawk, but with cards.
I still don't understand that, but that's okay.
Art and sound design quirks that people enjoy in particular. Dan, you said about the principal clucker and the kind of scary moment with the chicken. Are there any other bits that jumped out at you in terms of that kind of thematic stuff?
After every omelet you've created and you get like the helper, like the bird with the van, he has this like big stamp system, and the wing just comes out and just does this big stamp, and this is really like hard noise. And that is really funny.
It's very satisfying, yeah.
This very like peaceful, cute little bird like driving up and then just boom on the side of the van.
Yeah, so every 3 days of customers you complete, you get a free kind of legendary helper, I think it is. But the way it's presented is like the 3rd thing on your loyalty card with his little business that sells weird stuff outside the school at the night. It kind of creates such a big kind of cartoon world for such a small game. You've just got gameplay, doing the omelettes, dealing with this dodgy bird guy in his van outside, principal cluckers, and it's just it suggests such a bigger world than you actually get to see, which is really cool.
Like when you're playing the game, when you see this omelet, like it's on a slider, like wood with the little metal bars on it and everything, but they're reinforcing the theme a lot, right? Like that you're a cafeteria worker. The customers, I love them. They all have like goofy little descriptions, and a lot of them are not like, I think I saw a rabbit from Watership Down or something that was in there.
Like. Yeah.
And references to TV shows and stuff. And in my own games, I've tried to make little funny descriptions for things, but like they did it great with this. Like everything has a little quip on it that's just a little bit of humor. And often the abilities that they'll have will tie in nicely with that too. So it's like just enough to really help push the game along. The little subtle descriptions like have some slight relationships between them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like the relatives of Principal Clucker show up to eat your omelets too.
It feels like sort of 90s Nickelodeon cartoon humor, like a Rugrats or Rocko's Modern Life, that kind of thing. It's like suburban school kids.
It's not overly casual and cozy, and it's not gritty and grimy for a lot of Steam games. Like it's just this nice straddling the line of not like dark humor, but it's quite positive. I'd say a lot of it, but there's a lot of little nudges they put in there.
A lot of these games, when you have these relics or whatever, they give you something to build around. They're going to break a rule of the game or whatever. For example, like you don't usually want stuff on your omelet to be moldy, but there's going to be something that makes it so that things being moldy is good now. And it's like, okay, it kind of changes.
I love that every time it happened.
There's a lot of things like the mold or wrapped where at first you're like, why would I ever use this? But eventually you do get those game-changing helpers or other ingredients, and you get to learn these synergies that can really come out the other side of being really overpowered. And that's a really fun dynamic that you get in this game a lot.
Yeah, there's a very small wiki for it. It looks like there's more than 50 helpers in the game. There's loads of ingredients. There's loads of stuff to unlock. It's got that nice pace where you just kind of can play it reasonably casually and sort of, win or lose a run in about 20 minutes. And then you'll get some more stuff unlocked for next time you play. And sometimes it's a big thing, like a starting deck. You know, you win these aprons for different challenge levels, and then you'll unlock different starting decks. The structure of these kind of games, it's like the more stuff you unlock, the more the pool of things gets diluted. And that kind of means, even in like something like Slay the Spire, that happens. So the more you get used to using a particular strategy, the better you get at the game, the more stuff you unlock, and then the less likely you are to get the things that you usually use show up in the pool. So you're sort of tempted to use these other things instead, which kind of creates a really nice kind of self-balancing thing where even after playing it for 15 hours, it still feels fresh because it's not just giving you more powerful stuff, it's giving you stuff that you have to learn to use, which is maybe like a higher risk-reward ratio than the things you started off with.
I think that was where I really started to get into the game.
Yeah.
Where, like, I think my first big moment was when I unlocked the coconut, and it was just like 3 times the size of any other ingredient that I'd unlocked at that point. And you know, you're used to like small numbers, like the veg was like, the peppers were like, oh, +2 if it's next to this, and the bacon was like +2, and then the coconut comes along and it's like 20 points right off the bat, and then it like -1 for every other ingredient on the omelet, and I was like, 20 points, I'm using that every time, and I was like praying for the coconut to come every time. I was just playing coconut. One time I got 2 on a single run. That was the most excited I've ever been in my whole life. 2 coconuts on a single omelet. It looked ridiculous. Now we're cooking. Now we're getting somewhere. I'm enjoying this game more and more now.
And I think like what you're saying, Joe, it gets diluted, right, as a run goes on. It's a lot of deck builder games do this, but it's nice when you might want to start a run and think like, oh, I'm going to do a poison run or something. But you can't. Like, you have to actually start the run, and based on what's given you, like, you have to kind of pivot and react to it along the way.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose these types of games if you're not good at going with the flow and identifying when your build is evolving a certain way. But I mean, this game's doing it great. I would say early game, there's a little bit of balance issues. Like you have to play this game a bit to unlock the new ingredients to get the more points. I was really struggling to proceed at the start of the game and get past a few rounds. But yeah, it's once you start unlocking the coconuts and the other things like that, you get all the tools, right, to be more efficient as you go along. But a big thing about this that I noticed is in Slay the Spire, definitely in Balatro, you are encouraged to groom your deck and focus it around things.
Yeah.
And this game, it's almost like you're penalized for doing that, because when you choose ingredients, you also get a dispense, which is another hand that you can play in a round. So if you're someone who's not choosing ingredients, you're not adding more chaos to your deck, you're not getting this other huge advantage of it. So at first I was not doing that. I was losing constantly.
Same, yeah. I think I just stuck to the passives like all the time. I was like, well, I know what I'm doing with the bell pepper and the bacon. Like, why would I want to ruin that? I don't know what I'm gonna get. And then just eventually, I just want as many dispensers as I can.
Yeah. Did anyone manage to finish a run with like a smaller number of dispensers? Because my feeling was just kind of like, oh, like you just need a lot of dispensers, which it was fun for me to just slap a ton of stuff on the omelet, especially the weirder the ingredients got. It's funny to, you know, slap a pineapple on on the omelet, but I was also a little bit like, oh, but like I feel like I have to get these dispensers though.
It's hard. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm heavily penalized for not taking
the dispensers. Yeah.
You get like kind of key balancing variables sometimes where it just rules the whole game, like, you know, action economy in D&D, or like getting an extra worker in a worker placement game. I don't know, it can't be avoided, but I guess they just they kind of want you to have the struggle of having too much stuff to fit on the omelet as well, because there are loads of rules where it's like, oh, this customer doesn't want anything touching the side, and like the things that can't touch each other. So having that weird thing of like, I need to get the extra dispensers, but also my omelet has too much stuff on now, and that's causing me problems. Feels like it's kind of part of the juice of the game.
Right.
But yeah, I do agree. It feels like it's like it doesn't want you to not get them.
There was, I think, one of the perks or characteristics of the customers, like they'll have like conditions or handicaps, like, you know, they'll ask for more, or they'll, there's a chance that the ingredients will be moldy. There was one that literally takes 3 dispensers away. So it's just like, oh yeah, I'm going into I'm going into this customer with like 9 dispensers. That's more than enough, and then he just takes off 3. I was like, oh dear. Did we actually cover what dispensers are? They're essentially just slots to like add a new ingredient, like a turn, essentially.
Comparing it to Balatro, it's basically your hands. Like, how many of these dumps of ingredients do you get to choose to put on an omelet? So if you limit the dispenses, you're only going to be able to put like 3 bell peppers on there. You want to put
like 1 ingredient
20
per dispense.
Yeah. And it took me so long to learn that. Like, some of the UX stuff is a little rough around the edges, but I mean, there's a lot of complicated stuff going on, but I did not get that the little orange triangles represented that. It took me a long time to figure that out.
I definitely didn't get it right away, because I think
I was really, this is so minor, but once I was like, oh, it's good for me to throw stuff out every turn. You should feed the dog every turn because it's free and you get money. It was a shockingly, I don't know how I feel about that in terms of balancing, but it was shockingly helpful to get that extra cash from feeding the dog. Oh, and finding out that the dog likes trash. Okay, that was fun, actually, being like, oh, to eat the trash. Yes, give me tons of money.
The store in between rounds, there's a little dog, Sonny the trash dog, and he lives in a trash can.
Yeah, each time you open the shop, you get one free throw food at the dog, and the dog gives you money. But then the second and onwards throwaway stuff costs more than you get generally. So there's a little bit of kind of weighing the cost benefit of refining your deck. But it's also an income source.
Yeah, so it's like encouraging you to do just a little bit of trimming the items you want least out of your deck every round, which was certainly a fun skill to kind of learn. Like,
it feeds into like Cheese, like you were saying about that this game wants you to do things on the fly. It does not want you to like kind of build and sit on the ideal deck all game. It's kind of incentivizing you as much as possible to be changing your deck every single round and just living with it.
Dan, I want to hear about that your moldy run, because I saw a picture and it was something.
It was great, because I think I wasn't that aware of like the mold thing for a while, and it just comes up. I was like, well, I don't want that. I think there was a spice passive that increased the chance of getting moldy ingredients. I was like, why would I want that? I'm just gonna pick it because at least I get points bonus. I guess that's like the pro of that item. But then later on, there was a helper that gives you +5 for like any moldy ingredient. And and then like literally the next level, there was this woodlouse called the Moldy One, which I think is my favorite customer. He's the janitorial president. And he's just a little woodlouse called the Moldy One. Like, he doesn't even have an actual name. He's just the Moldy One. And he just ensures that like a lot of the ingredients that show up are moldy, and that I just got so many points, and it just looked horrible. Like I really like the contrast sometimes where like the most horrendous looking omelet also gets you the most points. Like the amount of like rotting fish and graham crackers or biscuits or whatever just on this omelet, and it's just got like 400 points. Why would you give this 400 points? Like I was pretty sure I like killed the chicken at the end because he ate them all. Because that's the thing. Like when the principal clucker, like at the end, like all the omelets you made across the whole run, they're all running along the bottom. Yeah, and you actually see all the individual ingredients from all of those omelets one by one go into the mouth at the end, which I really liked. And I was just like, oh my god, like the majority of those omelets were nothing but moldy food. Like this guy's gonna die. I'm gonna lose my save. I'm gonna have to start again because I killed the bloody chicken. But he was fine, so I don't know what his deal is. His bowels are amazing.
I'm looking at an image of the moldy run you won, and it's like you got 443 points over the target was 200, so double.
Oh my god!
And I'm seeing an omelet with a giant moldy squid, 2 moldy bell peppers, moldy bacon, and then an entire pineapple covered in mold with a potato, I think, next to it, and an anchovy under it. And 3 moldy slices of cucumber.
That's the rock salt. I think the potato you're talking about.
Yeah, that's rock salt.
Moldy rock salt. Is that even possible?
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
Nice tip for devs. When you win the run or lose a run, they have a little screenshot button right there, and it's just doing the Steam screenshot for you. So it just really encourages you just to snap it for later, which I really like. For the synergies, for me, like I really was finding myself wanting to do them, and I only played it on the chaos mode. I didn't do turn-based mode, and I just wanted to embrace it. But I often just liked the helpers that were broad in general, apply 3.3 to everything.
Yeah.
But in all these games, I don't know what you call them, but when they're a passive that you can increase as the run goes on. So there's one that's a carnivore where every time you feed to the trash dog a vegetable, it gets +1 points for all the meat. And I love those passives where you can just slowly refine them to like charge them up as the run goes along. And those are the ones that I enjoyed the most in here.
Yeah. Those are great.
Yeah, I like the kind of screenshotable quality of this game. It's kind of really funny to see what someone else makes in it, and you're kind of switching between the score-based brain and the thinking of it as real food brain, and it kind of made me think a lot, how much like food games can play around with things being gross. And you can have like a nice looking meal and you can set that up as like being the standard, like it is in the first sort of 20 minutes of you playing this game. And then the game is like, you're going to put loads of gross stuff on this and that's what you're going to get points for. And then if you're like me and you're a little bit theme driven, you're going to go, but I don't wanna. And then the game's like, In Magic the Gathering, they have these like player psychometrics that they use to describe different types of players. And you've got like a Spike, that's the one that wants to win all the time. And the Jimmy, which is the person that wants to win in a clever way, but not necessarily the easiest, most efficient way. And you've got a Vorthos, which is like a theme player where they don't care if their deck works and they're just like, it's all mushrooms. And I found myself going into that where I was just like, I'm going to just do all green vegetables. And it just didn't have any scoring logic. It's just a really fun challenge to like either make the grossest thing that you possibly can, which tends to score better, or to like try and actually make things that look like they're edible, which is kind of a thing that always kind of ends up screwing you over. But that's just I find that's a really common thing for me in games where you build stuff. I always used to have that problem with like city builders and RTS games where the most efficient way to build the thing is never aesthetically pleasing. And I find that tension really fun to play with in any game that lets you do something that's kind of ostensibly creative, Yeah.
Like I was surprised at like when trying to optimize the amount of points, like just where everything ended up on the omelet. Like there was times where everything was just in a single corner of the omelet because I was getting so many points for all the ingredients touching, but also all the ingredients had to be along the edge of the omelet. So you just had this little like beach of ingredients. Like 90% of the omelet was just completely bare.
Yeah, just to touch on the proximity stuff more, because I don't know if we got into that too much, but there's like different layers. You got like a base layer that everything sits on, but occasionally you might get a garnish that can sit on top and a underlapper, I think is what it's called. That can go underneath things. There is the physics system. So when you drag an ingredient up, if you've got things perfectly laid out, where you have a big wheel of cheese in the middle where everything has to touch it to get a multiplier, if you push something up, it might shove everything out of the way. So you have to use a little bit of a delicate chef's touch to place things in the right position. But there's some ingredients like the seafood can be wiggly, and it'll the squid will just squirm.
Things can be sticky as well. Like you can stick things together with peanut butter, and then what you're saying, like the physics system, it only operates on the level it's on, right? So like you can push underlappers together and they'll move things around, but the stuff that's on top of them might stay where it is, and the garnish. But then you can stick it together, and it's kind of all moving around as one object. It's really, really clever. It's kind of like Photoshop layers with their own physics on each one, and then you can occasionally like group things by gluing them with sticky stuff.
Yeah, and you do get at the end of every run, there's a little panic section where you get 5 seconds. Maybe you can increase that with bonuses, but it's the Gordon Ramsay's yelling at you second, or it's like, oh, I got to get this cleaned up really quick before the scoring comes in, which is a nice little panic element at the end, I think.
That did remind me of, I don't know if anyone here has played Galaxy Truckers. At the start of the game, it's a board game, and you have to. At the start of the game, you have like I think it's a minute, and you're just randomly picking up tiles to put a spaceship together. And if there's any tiles that don't connect in a way that makes sense, you just lose that tile, and you can build a ship, and then for all you know, you'll realize that half your ship has just been destroyed because you didn't place the tiles correctly. It did remind me a bit of that.
Yeah, I think that's where I stayed away from the casual game, because it's I feel like I was going to miss out on that. I like games that save me from myself and like from over analyzing everything and making too many decisions. So I played with the timer on, even though it was stressful and I couldn't make all the right decisions. Like I wanted it to nudge me into embracing the chaos, I guess, versus overthinking it all.
Yeah, a lot of times, like playing the turn-based. I don't know. I keep calling it turn-based. Like no one else is getting a turn. But like, what would you call that? Just like still conveyor belt. Like I don't know what you.
I mean, it's kind of a turn. It's just always you getting a turn.
Yeah,
you only get so many turns.
Yeah, I found a lot of the times I was like just really trying to figure out. Oh, is this going to be enough points? And just like trying to do the maths in my head. Like, oh, was like what's 6 times 0.4? And I was like,
yeah.
maybe I would be having more fun on the other mode, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
It was scary. I wasn't willing to make that jump.
Thinking about just hearing how we all played the game kind of pretty differently. I mean, I feel like this game is kind of very sandboxy, which is interesting. It's kind of like a toy game where you can kind of do whatever you want. And I think there could be pros and cons of that depending on the player. And like for me, I kind of bounced off it a little bit. And I think this is really funny, but hearing Dan be like, oh, you wanted to sit and math it out. I'm kind of like, yeah, like I kind of thought of doing that too when I first started playing. I was sitting there being like, man, like I should get a piece of paper and like figure out the optimal arrangement or like kind of prioritize what to do. And I was like, it's too much effort. I'm tired. I just put random stuff on it. And then so once I realized there was a mode where the conveyor belt just goes for you, I was, the game forces you to make a decision much more quickly instead of like playing like Into the Breach, where I used to take like 10-15 minute turns playing Into the Breach, and this was like I just want to put stuff in my omelet. I felt more engaged, and even I noticed with the Jam version too, the original Jam version where the conveyor belt was much faster, I found that much more engaging and easy to pick up. And it's such a subjective thing, and I know it's subjective because I'm realizing like, you know why I think the real reason I hated the turn-based version, and I was really like, I was not enjoying the turn-based version of this game because I have like anxiety that makes it difficult for me to make decisions. I get so indecisive. And so I was sitting there being like, I don't know what to do, and this is stressing me out, and I hate it. And then once the game was like, no, you gotta pick one, it doesn't matter, just pick one. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna randomly put whatever. And so the game speeding things up and making me not think about it was more fun for me. But it also, I think this was another reason I kind of bounced off this game a little bit, was, like having a build, right? I feel like the game, it's an interesting game, I think, where there's just all these things in tension, and for me it wasn't quite working. But for example, like the tension between like trying to make a build, trying to like optimize your build versus like whatever you get is what you get, and like you don't have a lot of time to think about it. And it wasn't quite tight enough for me. But I think the theme though helped, so that I think helped a lot with that. Basically, I was just kind of like, well, even if you're not thinking about it, I'm just gonna put stuff in my omelet, and this horse is just gonna eat my squid, shrimp, cheese thing. Oh, that's funny, you know. It brings amusement at the end because of the theme.
Yeah, I think if you took all of the same mechanical choices and put it in a game that was like trying to be serious and where we were supposed to feel smart rather than this kind of like goofy chef running around a kitchen where everything's on fire and it's all kind of ratatouille, it wouldn't work. But it kind of, I get what you're saying. It kind of adds up to this sort of anxiety about like, I can never do it right. And that kind of works if you're on board with it being this kind of chaotic, cartoonish thing where a lot of the slapstick comedy that is kind of implied by the art style and the characters and everything is sort of happening as your expense as a player, you know, and you have to be like okay with that and in the right mood for it. Like the worst thing is when you get that little moment, that little 5 seconds at the end where it ticks down and you can move everything around, and it is like, you know, if you're working in a real restaurant and the waiter's about to come and take the plates out and you've got that little second and you use it and you mess the thing up worse and you see it happen and you push, like there were all of these things like tightly bound to score and you move one of them in to like touch something so that it'll give another bonus and you knock everything and then it ticks. Like I had that happen a few times and it was funny, but it was disappointing.
I did find a little with all like the little tags like sticky and flaming and all that. Like I think for a long time in the game I didn't actually know what a lot of stuff did, because I think the tutorial system, I think I messed it up a bit, because I think every time you are exposed to a tag for the first time, there'll be a little tutorial message that comes up. And I don't know if this happened with anyone else, but there's a passive called like Deep Cleanse, which basically removes every tag or like a lot of the tags. And as soon as I picked that, the tutorial came up for like all of those tags. I got like 8 alerts at once. Like, this is what wrap does. This is what flaving does. This is what mold does. I was like, I'm not reading all that. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, leave me alone. So I was just like closing them all because I was like, I'll read it later. And I never did.
I'm not sure I ever read any of them, honestly.
Well, the game, what's nice is like it's throwing stuff at you constantly. I think just inherently they're making this chaotic system of tags, so many modifiers, but they do have a good catalog. Like if you wanted to go back and look later, you can take your time and focus on stuff. And while you're playing the game, you can tooltip everything, but it's moving. The conveyor belt's moving. So you only have a second to really think about stuff. So I really appreciated that I could pause and go to the catalog and look some of these things up. So I don't know. I love me a good catalog in games. I'm often distracted coding that in too soon before my project even needs it. But they did a great job with their compendium, looking at all the helpers.
It's fun to scroll
customers
through.
And everything. Yeah,
I love getting to look at all the helpers. You know, it's very silly. Yeah.
For balancing stuff, like I think you were bringing up that like it's hard to get I think you brought up Into the Breach and like how intentional you can be about that game, and Joe was bringing about the tone, and that game's different. Like you're saving lives, and you're almost like responsible for
like
making
every move will like could blow up the game.
Right, and
this one's like, it'll be fine, you know.
Yeah, it's food, right? The worst you're gonna do is give a moldy full pineapple and a bag of trash to a chicken, you know, whatever.
The systems were a little, for me, I really just think it's a me thing, but for me they were a little, I don't want to say overly complicated, but part of me was like, some of this feels a little bloated, and I think I just have a very like, kind of, I like to see a really, really tight game, where it like, kind of is super like, clear about what exactly the experience is supposed to be, even if it can be sandboxy and have different builds. And I think the systems didn't quite cohere for me. And I think and again, maybe it's just because I just needed to be able to play the faster conveyor belt modes earlier, because literally when I played that jam game for 5 minutes and I was like, this was just hitting my brain so much faster for some reason. And I think it was just the like Yeah, because it's funny because people keep saying chaotic. This game is chaotic. I'm like, I did not feel the chaos until the conveyor belt started moving fast enough. And I think the moment I was like, okay, now I'm enjoying this game was there's a customer where there's a fork that comes in and tries to steal your omelet, and I had such a kick out of like whacking away the fork, and I was like screaming. My boyfriend's like, what are you yelling? And I'm like, there's a fork coming out to steal my stuff. And for me, that was the chaos, I think, and somehow. Yeah, because without the kind of like a real time like screaming, oh my god, what is happening? I don't know. Oh my god, we're gonna click random crap. I don't know what's happening anymore. Without that, it kind of just became a systems game. And when I play a systems game, I kind of expect to sit. I expect to sit and really like prioritize and figure out and understand. And I was just looking at these tags and like. I was a little bit like, why would I need more money if I'm scraping by with just taking dispenses and yellowing the omelets? I was like, I don't get it,
Jen's mentioned the jam game a couple of times now. Do you want to take a little segue to just talk about the jam game that we found? Because they made this for Game Maker's Toolkit Jam in 2024, and I think a few of us had a play of this yesterday, and I think it was quite interesting from a design perspective. I keep finding when there's a sort of reasonably scoped indie game that started off as a Ludum Dare or something, I go back and play it, and it's like, oh, this is the game. It's like the core of the game was there at the jam. I mean, I'm going to reset my Mini Metro mention counter, but Mini Metro's the same. You play the Ludum Dare version, it's like, this is the same game. Like 90% of the time they spent after the jam was on polish and UX, and like adding more content, but the game is there. It's not fundamentally different.
There's no helpers, I don't think, unless I didn't get far enough. But the core concept of make an omelet, focus on points, and it's about how the ingredients interact and pushing on each other. I mean, that's all there. In the core game.
Yeah, the sort of 60s game show jazz is there. A lot of the sound effects are the same. Like the error sound and the scoring sound are the same. Like the color isn't there, which makes it kind of easier to read in a weird way. And the animal characters aren't there. But just having that music and sound effect choice locked in from the start has done so much work in terms of determining the creative direction of like the whole rest of the game. Of it's going to be this kind of like vibrant, occasionally disgusting, old school cartoon vibe. And it's really interesting because it's so low art, that early prototype, but the sound effects and the music choices have kind of remained very, very similar to that up until launch.
They got it out there, they got some feedback, they got a clear vision, and then they ran with it, right? They didn't build out all this stuff and not figure out the loop. Like, it's the same game on the other side. So they did pretty good, but it's just nice to hear that a game that didn't get, number one. You don't have to win a jam to have a real banger of a game that can go on to be successful, which is nice.
Because at the end of the day, I think what this jam game, playing the jam game, was the most impressive thing to me was just the clarity of vision from the beginning, and they stuck with it. They knew what they were doing, and that's why the game, when they shipped it, obviously you had to do marketing and blah blah blah, right? But that's why people liked it. That's why it was a good game.
Yeah, and I noticed they were in early access too, which I don't think is the most common for indies. It's kind of dangerous sometimes to do early access in games because you're committing to a longer project. But it's really interesting going on their Steam page and scrolling all the way down to the bottom because you can see where like they didn't have rotation at first. It's so core in the game. And you can see them getting better and better about pushing up updates. And I don't know, it's been really motivating for me to see how they could slowly build this up with their community.
For run-based games in particular, I think early access is very appealing because I think one of the big appeals of making a run-based game is that it's a lot easier to add stuff to it over time. You're sort of like generating a game alongside an audience. You can't do that with an RPG, which is one thing that I was very jealous of when I see all these run-based games just adding stuff, and I'm like, well, I can't do that with the game I worked on because most people have already got to the end boss, and if I add something on the second boss, like I don't know, is it enough to justify an entire new playthrough? So I think run-based games definitely benefit from the early access model a lot more.
Well done to the devs for making a frustrating, disgusting, very funny game. Should we get on to picking the next game?
Sure. So I'm picking. The theme I gave the others was cute and colorful.
Mhm.
So, present to me your offerings.
Okay, you want cute, you want colorful. Well, Voidigo is the game for you. You go on that Steam page and your eyes will burn immediately. The colors, they're so colorful. Wow. As for cute, well, there's a lot of crazy weapons in the game. One is you're just holding a tortoise, and the tortoise has a gun. You can just hold a dog as a weapon, and the dog will like stretch out and like hit people. And you know what's cuter than a dog or a tortoise? Never mind that they're like weapons and killing people. That it's a dog, and people like dogs. Dogs are cute. And also, did I mention that the game's colorful?
I feel like colorful 10 out of 10, cute 5 out of 10.
Okay. I'm going to pitch mine, and I'd like to just say, as a point of contrast, this game doesn't have any weapons in.
Okay.
Doesn't have any murdering things in. I'm pitching a game I haven't played, but that's kind of the whole point, because I'm pitching a game I want to play. My card is better than your card, which is a game about kids playing cards. So it's cute because you're actually a kid, right? And the aesthetic is very cute. It's very pretty. And what you're doing is very cute as well, because it has a neat mechanic that is about kind of augmenting your cards using stickers. It's in early access. I had a look at the feature list for the early access version. There's loads and loads of stuff that you can put on things. There's toys which synergize with your cards, which I guess are Joker / helper / whatever, the relic / thing.
Colorful 10 out of 10, cute, yeah. 9 out of 10, pretty good. It's definitely cute. I'm just a picky little shit. Game looks fun. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of words on this. There may be complexity here, but it looks also could probably be chill.
Okay, so Tomacrops is a bullet hell pixel art run-based game where you're farming is the core focus, but you have little cute animals that are attacking you every night. You're fending off your crops. In between runs, you find other farmers to court and marry to proceed through the game. You have little flowers that are like dancing and wanting to merge together. Even the enemies you kill are cute rabbits and things like that. It's an incredibly difficult game. Emphasis on the bullet hell, but plenty of yummy roguelite unlockables, modifiers, and skill builders as you move through different seasons and go through it.
At first I was like, this is pretty cute, and then I saw the trailer. I'm like, this is not.
Oh, the trailer has a farmer's face melting off. Yes. And,
yes, and I was like,
beautiful drawn
that's
cartoon.
that's not. Out of theme. But then I think so. We've done Bad North, and we just did Omelet You Cook, which were kind of a little more city thinky. I've both been itching to play an action game, like a boss run game, and I've also been itching to play a cute game. I do really like this bird in Voidigo. Let's play Voidigo. Let's play Voidigo. You win, Dan.
We're gonna be a burb. Thank you all so much for playing Omelet You Cook with me this month and discussing it with me. I'm looking forward to Voidigo, even if it doesn't involve putting stickers on cards. I can just do that in my own time. I can put stickers on whatever I want. You can't stop me. If you want to support this podcast or this channel in any way, you can go and check out patreon.com/Indie Game Clinic. That helps us do this. It helps us pay for our Voidigo. It helps us do a bunch of other stuff. This is one of the more light-hearted things on Indie Game Clinic that's a lot more focused on just kind of playing games and seeing what we get out of them. But there's a bunch of other game design stuff on there. Indie Game Clinic.